All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Best Ball Leaderboard show is back. I used to say that loud, but apparently my mic peaks nowadays. So it is week 5 of the Best Ball Mania 4 Leaderboard show. We have a guest this week, Nez Takes, Mr. Nez himself, Mr. Miami, some are calling him in these streets. Let's get this. All right, Nez, how you doing this week, man? It was a weird week in the NFL where we had a lot of scoring on one end, but on the other hand, seemingly we lost these players for the short or intermediate term. Achane, Justin Jefferson, James Conner. We already lost Mike Williams and crew. We got questions. Travis Kelce got banged up, so how did this week treat you overall?
Buddy, not well. I did most of my focus on trying to punch that second ticket into the dog bowl. Underdog had their promo where if you draft 4, that 4th draft, you'll get that entry fee back. So I had most of my money in there, but I did like 20 BRs and 12 goal line stands to kind of get myself ready for those dog bowl drafts. And I didn't cash a single dog bowl. Well, obviously not the dog bowl, and none of the goal line stands. So it was a little rough. I will be honest. There, it was a lot of single digit scores in my lineups, but I didn't feel good going into the week. I will say. So I'm not like disappointed because it's not like I felt good and then oh my gosh, like everything I thought I knew collapsed. It's like I kind of thought I was going to lose money, and turns out I did lose money. So it is what it is. We're all like week 14 focused though, man. Like you mentioned, I was lucky enough to punch that dog bowl ticket. So yeah, we're all about week 14, man.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a moment here. If you guys don't know, Underdog has the dog bowl. If you qualify for the dog bowl, it's in Miami. Nez won. Was it week 1? Did you win?
Week two.
Week 2. You won a Daniel Jones team. We'll pull that up in a moment before we jump into looking at our Best Ball Mania teams. But yeah, I mean, on the week, I felt pretty good going into DFS purposes.
Okay.
I thought the chalk was good, and I just played the chalk. What I didn't play, and I can't even live with myself saying it, is I did not play my guy, Jamar Chase, buying into the narrative that him and Burrow were still banged up. I was like, Cardinals D a little bit better than you think. So unfortunately, no banks for me where if I had played them, someone's asking for some flute. We got to get them.
You got to do the flute.
But yeah, I mean, I just jammed Montgomery, Brees, whatever. But how about for best ball purposes? Are your bags hurting at all with these missing guys on the week?
Honestly, my bag started off at like the nut low outcome that like every week is just like a little bit better for your boy. Cause I have a heavy Bears bag, which like at first looked really, really dumb. Right. Yeah. It looked awful, man. Like I was down in the dumps. I'm like, all right, well, like I go as the Bears go, but we've there's some greener pastures ahead. They get the Vikings this week, so that'll look decent from the ROI. Dude, I don't know about you, but like just based on the way that the league has gone with all these injuries and like and things just kind of changing so rapidly, it's kind of hard to really sweat any team just yet. I mean, I know that's kind of how it is every year, right? There's really no sweat until the playoffs kick off, but it's been hard for me to like sweat my BBM team just because I'm like, man, who the hell knows what this league is going to look like in 2 weeks? I mean, did
you max BBM4 this year?
I did 100 BBM.
100, okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look at your 3 teams in a moment here. Yeah. Before we jump into looking at the week, I guess we should just this is your first time on my channel. And the first time that someone comes on my channel, I like to ask them how they got into fantasy football. So if you could real quickly tell the people, how'd you get into fantasy football? How young were you? Whatnot? What's your story? And tell them a little bit about what you're doing. I know you do, work with the Badge Bros and whatnot.
Yeah. So I started off in like third grade, doing like confidence interval pick'em pulls with with my dad's work.
Okay,
And
so you've been in it for a while.
yeah, and I won like 3 times one year, and everyone thought that my dad was picking for me. He's like, no, it's my son. So I did that with him. I was doing fantasy leagues with my dad, and whenever I was like in 5th grade, he actually let me in, and we were doing like touchdown only, like old man style leagues when like Randy Moss was on the Patriots. So you would do like
Touchdown only. That's
passing.
like the biggest boomer thing to be like,
Oh,
no, I
dude.
mean only touchdowns should be awarded in fantasy.
And defense, when you pick a defense, every point that they allow is negated from you. So like defense is like really important because like they're hurting your teams a lot if you don't have a good one. So like it was the year whenever like Randy Moss was on the Patriots. So it was like Patriots receiving, Patriots passing was always like because it wasn't players, dude. It was just like what kind of touchdown did they score? That's what. So I started off like very much boom. That's probably why I still have some boomer tendencies in my some of my takes in my strategies. But yeah, just start off real basic and then got into draft, of course. And then man, here we are, thousands and thousands of drafts later. And yeah, I do Badge Bros in case anybody is not familiar. If you go to Badge Bros on YouTube, you'll find the work that myself, John Warner, and Numi2 do over there. We have some fun with the Underdog.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Numi was still going to be part of the gang with him working for Underdog or not.
They're giving him free reign, man. He's got it made over there. He's going to Twins playoff games. Like he's still doing shows. Like we don't know what he does there.
Let's pull up real quick. Just walk us through your week 1 or your week 2 sweat of the Dog Bowl. I didn't even like. I was just like reading Twitter at night and didn't like I was like, why is he writing about this Miami song? And I was like, oh shit! Like he won a ticket,
qualifier, baby.
You won the qualifier.
Going over heads.
Yeah, tell us about this sweat real quick. How many teams did you do this week? And talk to us about the experience coming up and what prep you're doing.
Yeah,
how can you even prep for this thing?
Dude, it's hard to prep. This week was like early on. I thought was really fun because you get the week 1 overreactions. Like again, this was week 2, and so what was really cool about this was like T. Higgins put up a 0, I think, in week 1, and he was like he had like 100 air yards, and I was like, okay, like I know I want T. Higgins this week. Like I just knew right away, like the flop lag, like I knew people were going to be off him, and as you can see, I got him paired with McCaffrey and James Cook, and I like James Cook this week too, or in this week against the Raiders. I kind of like them in positive game script or projected positive game script. I like James Cook in those environments. Nico Collins was the same thing as T. Higgins, where those were 2 guys. Like that's what felt cool about this win is I knew I wanted those 2 guys because of their heavy air yard share in week 1 and a little bit of them going under the radar. Nico Collins was my Mr. Irrelevant pick on this team. The Daniel Jones and Darren Waller thing, admittedly, I think is quite a bit of luck because they don't. I mean, Daniel Jones hasn't played well since.
You didn't need Waller, right? Like Jones just had a good week here, and what Nez is saying, if anyone's confused, is there's a lot of analysts and sites that track air yards, which is basically how deep down the field are you targeted and how many yards would you have if you had caught the ball. And so he's saying to spot a positive regression candidate.
Yeah.
He looked at T and Nico, who had a lot of air yards, but not a lot of production. So the market is going to be very reactionary. They weren't on these guys. He was into them because of the air yards.
Exactly. Yeah. Very well said. So yeah, it was really cool to see like that, just a plan come to fruition and actually pay off. So, I mean, McCaffrey, I think was definitely a piece that you needed here. So this was a 101. I was fortunate with that. It was a low scoring week. As you can see, 130 to be in first is a low scoring week, but that seems to be when I have my best weeks is when there's not a lot of scoring on the slate.
What was the sweat like? Was it pretty clean, or did you get it at the? I mean, because like the Jones and Waller was dead at halftime. I remember.
Yeah,
and then they went off in the second half.
Yeah, so I had this started off with like Higgins, Collins, and I think James Cook was also a 1 o'clock game, and I knew I had those scores. I was like, oh man, like we're cooking. Like wait, we got something here, and then And then the game started off so poorly for the Giants and Cardinals. I don't know if people remember. The Cardinals were up like 28 points or something. So I was like, oh, dude, like this is kind of good because they got to catch up. But also, I'm like, they could pull Daniel Jones in the third because they're losing so badly. But then Daniel Jones decided to put the team on his back and rush a whole bunch and score a bunch. I was sweating Saquon because Saquon had a good game. But there's a picture of me. John tweeted it on Twitter. If you go to roto_run on Twitter and you look under his media, you'll find it. I was on like a walking pad, like a mini treadmill. Cause I'm a big pacer. If I got to sweat, I'm standing up and I'm like walking around and I'm really anxious. So I was on the walking pad, on a treadmill, sweating this thing in real time. My wife had no idea. I didn't want to tell her cause I didn't want to jinx it. But yeah, it was a real sweat. It was
so what did they tell you is coming up for you in Miami? Just tell the people what happens in Miami now that you want a ticket.
Yeah. So excuse me. 12 weeks of qualifiers where 3 people qualify every week, which gives you 36 total seats. One player Copper Price is the only one to punch 2 tickets so far. So we will do 3 separate drafts with 12 people, just like you do in the qualifiers. And I believe it's going to be all live. Like, I don't know if they're going to do it in the app or what, but that hasn't necessarily been announced. But yeah, so we're going to draft teams for week 14 and first place wins $200K. I could really use that. That would be a lot of fun, but it's in it's in Miami. They just announced the hotel that it's going to be at, or they're not announced, but they're starting to tell us what hotel it's at and stuff. So should be a fun time. Hopefully they wine and dine me just in case I walk out of there with no money, because the 10,000 that I was fortunate to win, that's your min cash. So if you finish bottom 10, like you walk away with a hangover and that's it. So
have you just been staring at the week 14 schedule, or?
I've done a lot of homework on week 14. I can't lie and say that I'm not going to work. No, I've been. I mean,
there's a lot riding on like what draft pick do you get? How, what do you do round 6? It's fun. How do you when do you take tight end? When do you take quarterback? Like I've noticed in the couple dog bowls I've done each week, it's never really that comfortable to reach on tight end, but the experienced players don't do that either. So it's a fun sweat.
It is a very fun sweat. I'm excited. I would love to get a second seat, of course. That's just such a huge advantage to be able to kind of like get different exposures in a 36-person field. I mean, it goes without saying how massive that is. So I don't want to burn my entire 10K trying to get that second seat, but it would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be chasing. Hopefully we can, Miami's only like a 2-hour drive for me. So I could.
Oh, you got to just show up no matter. You got to just crash the party, man. That'd be
just
awesome.
There, like, oh yeah, there's that guy. He won a contest a couple
We got to clink rings, man. We got to find we kind of
clink rings. Mine's in my car. All right. Well, moving on to Best Ball Mania 4 land. I put out this tweet earlier and I thought that we'd just kick off the show by reading it, but it says, it seemed to resonate with a lot of people. Yeah. Just to highlight how early things are in Best Ball land and how much chaos there is left to surf. A homage to my podcast I no longer upload to. But it says, some takes that have definitely been thought so far. Man, was I an idiot for taking Jamar Chase over Justin Jefferson. Now, Chase dropped 50, and Jefferson is a question mark to play at all after week 1. How could I have drafted DeAndre Swift? Since then, looks like a week winner. Week 3, or point 3. Haha, hell yeah. All these Mac Jones, Hunter Henry stacks will take me to the promised land. He's lighting it up. Since then, Patriots blown out severely twice. Wow, A-Chain is going to destroy this league, and all those Jeff Wilson picks are useless. Now, A-Chain on the IR, probably, and Wilson set to return. I'll advance every Richardson team I drafted. Now he's set to miss multiple weeks. And how dumb was I for drafting Kupp? The point is, it's a long season. We're going to see craziness continue to happen. We already have some players out for the season. And, the fantasy playoffs the past 2 years. Year 1, we had the global pandemic where teams were canceled left and right. And, obviously the Bills-Bengals game happened last year where a game was just canceled week 17. So we haven't seen anything yet. How have you been dealing with the ups and downs of these? And like the point of this is not to say don't sweat your teams and don't if you had a lot of HM, you should be stoked. Like, absolutely. Even if he doesn't play this year, you should be stoked because it was a good process pick to me. He's a really high upside player, right? He looks absolutely electric out there. At the same time, he's not going to give you any points. RIP Mike Williams. Like, that didn't feel great for me. I didn't have a lot of Jefferson. I had a lot more Chase. That's seeming to be breaking in my favor now, where we're going to start to feel that impact as it goes. What's stuck out to you, or anything that's changed for you over, the course of the season here?
Yeah, so I mean, like I mentioned off the top, I've got a lot of Bears. So it's been it was talk about a roller coaster, man. I mean,
sorry, when you said that, it just like bleeped out for me, like it was like a swear word. It was weird. My computer.
yeah. I shouldn't be allowed to say I've got Bears bags, but I do. So that's like, talk about a roller coaster, man. They look like the worst team in the league. They get some soft matchups. Kind of, we get to see Justin Fields on primetime, and he looks good. So that was a lot of fun. This thread, though, I just
the best thing about that is, like, I personally think like DJ Moore is going to regress right back down to earth, and they had like some great matchups.
Oh, dude, yeah.
But they have a great upcoming 3 weeks here. Like, they have like the Vikings, the Chargers on tap, and then we'll see. And like, maybe confidence is such a big thing in every person's life, where especially if you're a quarterback, if you're like not confident out there, seeing ghosts, like, you have no shot. So
no, for sure. I mean, if DJ Moore got. That one touchdown where the cornerback did a little Trayvon Diggs and like cheated too hard, and then he gets the ball and then runs for a touchdown. Like, that's a lot of points. It's a lot of points, and that very bolstering. So if you don't have DJ Moore, like, he's not going to score 40 points probably for the rest of the season. I would love that, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really like this thread. You do a good job of putting things into perspective when it comes to best ball and how like insane this game is, and how quickly things change. Speaking of, like,
how you feel like week to week is like, you're so excited for Jefferson, and then he's out, Dude, and like
you thought you were on top of the world. If you ran pure with the 101, like, how shitty do you feel right now? He might not play. I don't know where you stand on that.
Well, I mean, that's why we're coming together here. I guess we should, before we go forward, let's just talk about those injuries real quick. I mean, When I first saw the Richardson injury, I'll start there. As someone who drafted a lot of Richardson, I was just like, okay, well, it's over. Like, it just looked over. He's holding his shoulder.
I was worried his collarbone. I was like,
his collarbone, shoulder. It just seemed like, no, he's done. But then I got, like, the reports are maybe only 4 or 5 weeks, which feels like a win, because you can carry a QB in that range. Him and Stroud, him and an elite quarterback. You can carry a Richardson 0 for a couple weeks. Just not having him out for the season is pretty awesome. Jefferson, I'm not really sure on, man. Like, I just know it's hamstring. The risk with that is twofold. One, he could get shut down for the year because they suck. And two, Cousins, like, I didn't think the Cousins getting traded was ever realistic, but now that they lost Jefferson, it could happen.
They really should. I mean, there's so many suitors.
If he wants to, but he has a no trade clause. Like, if he wants to move with family.
Right? Because he's. I mean, people have seen quarterback. He's a family dude. He's not ready to up and like go to New York. Like,
you think he wants to find a new church? I don't think so.
You know what? Somebody in our comments on the Bad Bros let us know. Little nugget. What do you think about this? His wife is from Atlanta. Stay with the in-laws, go to the Falcons, see you, Desmond Ridder. I know it won't happen because Arthur Smith wants to win his way no matter what. But how about that? That would be a lot of fun. But no, it's just crazy. And I think Jefferson is due for a new contract. Is this not a contract year for Jay Jettas?
Well, he like denied the highest paid contract, which honestly might work out. Like, maybe he can like force his way out of Minnesota if he wants to. Who knows?
It doesn't seem like he has a strong incentive to come back and play for him or for the Vikings, for that matter.
I mean, you don't ship out an asset like Jefferson. Like, what can you what can you get in return that makes giving one of the best wide receivers like fair? But Achane, it seems like that was on the more minor scale. Like, it seemed like even last night I was reading where the reporting on that was weird, where like he seemed it wasn't that big a deal, but then maybe something popped up. So I think they're just being precautionary with that, and it's not like they need to like risk him when you can just like bang Mostert and Jeff Wilson up there. And I mean, they have Super Bowl aspirations, so like save him for later.
I don't think they need to force him out because he's a little guy. He's already had the shoulder injury in camp. Now he's got this knee thing. I mean, probably why they're a little hesitant to unleash him, because they're like, man, we want to save this guy. We know he's fast as hell, but they're going to be just fine without him is the thing. So why, they know he's an efficiency monster. Why force it? I'm with you on there. That could be a little iffy moving forward, but who knows?
And James Conner, kind of like, it's just the risk that the team's like, why bring James Conner back?
It's like the thing that I think you do have going for Arizona. It's a new coach and a lot of pride that these guys are like playing for. So
yeah.
I mean, they are playing to win. They're playing good. They're playing good games. I mean, they kind of got the break speed off them by the Bengals there, but I mean, like you mentioned, I think their defense is still a little bit better than people give them credit for. And they're just like they're just not a bad team to watch. If you have to watch a Cardinals game, it's not like the worst thing in the world, which I like. They're watchable. So very much a surprising team there. But Demercado, I mean, not that it matters for best ball, because I don't think anybody out there has a Demercado share in BBM4.
I will look that up later. I'm kind of curious if he got drafted at all.
That'd be a good look. But he seems.
If you have any Demercado shares out there, please let us know in the comments immediately, or any Jaleel McLaughlin, because he looks like a poor man's Achan.
Mm-hmm. It's a good comp.
The leaderboard, we have 835 by FF Louis G, which we're going to pull up his tweet. We have the 101 of teams right now. His tweet was an experience where he posted the wrong team and then he boomer cropped it. So we're going to pull that up in a moment here. Shout out Louis. But before we look at our top scoring teams on the week, historically, I've been doing a tweet of this, but I just found, shout out Fantasy Pros here. They have a site that just does this for me. So this is how we're going to look at it for now. So we're going to go position by position here, both on the season and just week 5. And so quarterback, man, it's starting to normalize just on the week at least, where, some names you'd expect: Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. Jared Goff pops up here with QB4 with 28 points. Tua and Mahomes, QB11 and QB12. Bryce Young, QB9 on the week. Anything? And Joe Burrow, 24 points. Anything sticking out to you for the quarterback scores this week?
I mean, it's got to be Jared Goff, right? He's these rushing touchdowns for Jared Goff. He's running so pure, even with David Montgomery.
Montgomery ran so bad not to get 2 more touchdowns in that game.
He should have had 50 points. I was very tilted because he was on Underdog. When you play chalk and DFS, it's different on Underdog than it is on salary websites. David Montgomery was super chalk, and he was his awesome play on Underdog.
He was 44% owned in the DraftKings $20 Millie Maker.
That's
44% in a
Millie Maker.
The most top heavy contest there is.
Crazy. I was not expecting that, especially in PPR. Even though he had a great game, but 44%.
44% is absurd.
And he didn't even bust. He still did well, but Goff definitely sticks out to me there. The Lions are a wagon. I think we can officially declare them
some people were calling them dynasties early in the offseason. I don't know who was doing that. They must have been really sharp, really in tune, but it was murmured.
How can you not love them though? I love the quote that I always go back to is Dan Campbell talking about, all I think about is you guys, man. You're all I think about. How can you not want to just give everything you got for that guy?
Neil, you gotta answer this question for Neil. Nez got a ring for winning a ticket?
No, they gave these rings out for everybody who won a playoff contest in 21-22 season, the year that the Bengals lost to the Rams. And I won the mitten returns again. And I split first, and they still gave me a ring.
Wait, I thought you were gonna list off multiple wins, but you just went the mitten returns. I won the again one.
Again, the after the wild card is done, and it was the second iteration of it, and I split first, but I got a ring, so who cares?
Nice, man. Your ring's a lot more shiny than mine. Mine's been hit. I mean,
a chip.
Yeah, mine's been chipped. Brock Purdy, QB7. You gotta be feeling real great about your Purdy shares. That feels very real. Goff and Desmond were propped up by rushing touchdowns. And Sam Howell, man, he's going to take a lot of sacks, and he the risk that Howell or Ritter is benched any week, I think is still there. But I mean, you got to be excited for Howell, at least in the short run.
Have to. I mean, that was really scary when the Bills just like ate his lunch. I was like, oh God,
like
is
boat
this going to
race
be,
them, yeah.
is this going to be every week? And then to see him bounce back really nicely against the Eagles is like, whew, okay. Like against that front, to see them actually hold his own, like I was like, okay, we're okay. Sam Howell bags are fine. But yeah, it's I agree. They could be benched at any point.
All right, moving on to running back here, and let me make this half-point PPR. So we got ETN at the top end. He kind of, the Bills defense lost literally 5 starters this game. So he kind of got like a garbage time touchdown to help prop this up. A surprise on the week, Zach Moss, RB2, after Jonathan Taylor worked out his contract. And then A.J. Dillon, RB12. Pretty massive gap, though, at the top end here, where ETN and Moss and even Brees like really clear the field here with 27+ points each. And then H.A.N. Montgomery, Jacobs, like it's very tight there. And, only 14 points for the RB 11 and 12 on the week. That's to be expected with some buys coming, but just kind of like a lower scoring week for running backs in total, other than the guys at the top end. What sticks out to you?
Well, it kind of seems like a trend. I don't know, man. Running back just is kind of in a weird spot right now in the league, where like we look at these, and I mean, like you just mentioned, I mean, the fact that it's only 14 points for RB like 9 and 10 there. What I see here are some emerging players. Well, first off, Zach Moss, I like never in a million years would I have played Zach Moss on that slate. Never. Like it is what it is.
I was very into drafting the Colts backup running back, but I just chose Evan Hull, and
Same.
We'll never know how that's going to work out.
Dude,
I think it was a good process since Deion Jackson was released. And I mean, Zach Moss has shown something, though, like a gear he's not had previous years. Like, I never thought Zach Moss could catch a wheel route touchdown like he did a couple weeks ago.
Literally lost somebody. Like, I mean, you saw him firsthand from the Bills. I mean, it is really interesting to see. Like, it seems like he really did take a step forward. Makes you wonder if we'll see that like from any, like, it's kind of weird that we don't see that more, I guess. I don't know. It's just like,
I'd still rather have
a running back.
I mean, I'd rather have Kyron Williams than Moss. How about you?
In fantasy or like in real life?
In best ball.
Kyron Williams any day. Yes.
Yeah.
He had a down week, but like
Taylor's back. Richardson's out of there. I'd rather have obviously Puka. Not Tutu anymore. I would say Tutu without Cup, but not anymore. Jaleel McLaughlin pops up here. Tajay Spears pops up here.
I like Spears a lot.
Yeah. He's
Spears.
He's a fun guy. He's fast. Some like ho-hum guys here, Montgomery, Jacobs. Montgomery seriously should have been up in the 30-point range. And then Brees Hall. I mean, it was versus the Broncos, but we got to give him his flowers. The dude's explosive. I don't think it will continue against the Eagles, but I think exciting games up ahead.
Nobody cares about my teams, but I just traded in a full-point PPR Brees Hall for Tony Pollard. Who won?
Man, Tony, like, something I just chose not to think about at all is like, it's because I wanted to be in on the player Tony Pollard, but I wanted to just not think about his leg injury from last year, where like he broke his leg last year, like late,
and we didn't. Nobody cared.
Yeah, and no one was really talking about that. They're just kind of like, yeah, Tony Pollard, go. And I was like, you know what, fine, Tony Pollard, go.
Yeah, that's what we've been waiting for. Like, why would we not be all in?
I mean, he is a major positive regression candidate in the sense where not this week, but the first couple weeks, he ran bad where like the defense was too good, or like just touchdowns going to other players, or they're blowing him out. Better weeks ahead for him, but also he's like not been the same Tony. So I don't know. It's a close on them. You traded Tony?
Yeah, I would fire Tony Pollard. I would a little bit. I felt like because I kind of forgot that I had it out there, and then the guy accepted it, and I was like, whatever.
Looking at wide receiver this week, Chase and DJ Moore just absolutely, 45 points each, just insane. Wide receiver 12 is Cup. Wide receiver 11 is Puka. Cup had no touchdown, so just did that off of volume. We see the Bills guys pop up here right next to each other too. That's kind of weird. 2 Rams guys, 2 Bills guys. What's sticking out to you on this list? I think Adam Thielen will go away eventually. Like Mingo's becoming more part of the offense. George Pickens got like a weird late touchdown. Nez is a Steelers fan, so he's rubbing
I
his
am a
hands.
Steelers fan. I am loving the fact that George Pickens like doesn't get separation. I love that doesn't matter. Like that's pretty sick from a Steelers standpoint. I still think the Steelers are in purgatory. More like hell disguised as purgatory is how I would describe it. I think so. I'm gonna disagree about the Adam Thielen going away thing. I think Adam Thielen fits what the only thing the Panthers can do really well, which is like getting the ball out quickly. And
Can this be the plan for 17 weeks? Just like, let's lose by 20 and throw the ball to Adam Thielen?
It's gonna be like they're desperate. They are so incredibly desperate. And Bryce Young looks very bad. He's had some awful, awful moments on the field. I mean, really bad moments. But there's also moments where his arm.
I don't think there's a person out there who wouldn't take Richardson or Stroud over him in real life.
No, like not a single person. Part
of that situation, but
felt like an ownership type of pick, and it's bearing out. However, there are moments where Bryce Young's arm talent, I think, really stands out, and he's very good at just like dotting the ball. Adam Thielen's still a little bit of a short-range technician, so if they happen to get in the red zone, I mean, I think he's going to be hitting Adam Thielen for touchdowns on top of these targets that he's getting. I think he was a good pick, and I think he's going to remain a good best ball pick.
He was a great pick as far as what he's done. I'm just not confident that, like, the reason I don't win BBM4 is because Adam Thielen's 35 years old, is burying me.
Probably not, but he can help you get there.
Hopkins, this is just like insert alpha wide receiver versus Colts secondary here. He also almost came down with another touchdown. Ridley had like no stats, and then the Bills lost a couple more defenders. And so this might just be a Kaiir Elam stat, the Bills corner, where he was just getting picked on relentlessly. And Jacoby Myers popping up here with a good week. You notice that the wide receiver, what sticks out to me is the wide receiver 12 was as good as like the running back 7 on the week or something,
Yeah.
Like if we just look at the running backs on this week, running back 7 was Alvin Kamara with 17 points, and that's the wide receiver 10, wide receiver 11, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
Moving on to tight end. We actually kind of had a high scoring tight end week. Walk us through it here.
Okay. Well, let's got to start off with George Kittle, right? I mean, the quintessential George Kittle week that,
1, 3.
That's just what
his first 3 touchdown game.
I mean, George Kittle all season, right? You think, oh, George Kittle was a bust, like awful pick. And then you turn the cards over and like, oh, he finished with like double-digit touchdowns. And it just so happened to be in an important week. So, I mean, this was, I guess you could call this an elite tight end week, right? I mean, like they didn't separate, but I mean the top 3 tight end, or 3 of the 4 tight ends were in that elite category.
I think like if we're talking about from a lens of how do you win the week, which you should kind of be doing in best ball, because flash forward, you're in week 17. The question is, how do you win this week? And to me, always the discussion with elite tight end is if those tight ends have that week. So if you have a Kittle week, you might need them to win. Now, I would say you could have gotten away with Schultz plus this week in one. So you could have punted it off with Schultz, Logan Thomas, Laporta was cheap as well, or Kelsey. Like, I don't think 26, like a 10-point gap at tight end, it's not killing you, without it. But I don't think you're getting away with 6 points from Musgrave and winning Best Ball Mania 4. So it was nice just to see the tight ends pop up with, a respectable scoring week from them where, I mean, the tight end 9, Kyle Pitts, outscored the RB 12. That's insane. Honestly.
Thank God. Needed that bad.
Moving to season stats, tight end 1 on the season, Sam Laporta. Tight end 2, Travis Kelce. Tight end 3, Cole Kmet. I would not say I was very optimistic on Laporta, not on Bears passing pieces. I think Kmet will fall away, but I mean, we have like the who's who here: Kelce, Andrews, Hawkinson, Kittle, Ingram a little bit, but then we got Logan Thomas popping up here. Anything sticking out for you on a season-long perspective at tight end?
I mean, the tight end 1 is averaging 12 points a game. I mean, these guys are nice to have, but when it comes down to the playoffs, like there's a chance like tight end just simply like doesn't factor in, like it just really may not have a whole lot of bearing unless one of these guys pops off for that Kittle week or, a 26-point week. But for the most part, man, it's just been super quiet. A really disappointing position in fantasy, but shout out Logan Thomas.
I love tight end, man. I love grinding the micro edge of tight end.
I'm not gonna lie, I do too. It's my favorite part of the battle royales on Underdog is like finding the really gross tight ends, but they're not doing anything for any team. It's just
I don't know. I mean, Laporta, Brock saying, God, I wish I had more Laporta, man. Laporta was literally an 18th round draft pick for like the beginning of BBM4.
Mm-hmm.
Hawkinson, I mean, we'll see what this Viking like. What's your guess for the Vikings offense? Sans Jefferson, because I don't think you can just say, oh, Addison will just wheels up. You know, like in theory, yeah, it is wheels up, but Jefferson also took a lot of coverage, so it could be more wheels up for Hawkinson. KJ Osborne could become an asset, I guess, or the offense could just struggle. Yeah. What's your vibe on the Vikings?
My feeling is Hawkinson is the first beneficiary. Addison, of course, will like benefit. Same with Osborne, but I think Hawkinson sees like the most, the biggest upgrade in his outputs, or at least in his targets for sure. In that passing game, they seem to really like using him.
Wide receiver on the season, we got Gabe Davis, wide receiver 12. That's kind of funny, and Diggs, wide receiver 2. DJ Moore, with his 45-point performance, is wide receiver 3. Jamar Chase, I went back and looked at this. He was what's your guess? He was wide receiver what last week on the year? He's wide receiver 6 now.
6. He was probably. I mean, he literally more than doubled his total score. He was what, wide receiver like 36?
He was wide receiver 27. So it was a respect. Was he had this? But went from wide receiver 27 to wide receiver 6. On the year, not point per game. Obviously, Keenan's got him on the point per game one. A lot of who's who here. Diggs, Tyreek, Jefferson, Chase, Keenan, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, and then Adam Thielen, Nico Collins, Gabe Davis, Puka Nacua, DJ Moore. Who would I take? Adam Thielen or Marquise Brown? Obviously, Marquise Brown, for me.
Yeah.
Who would I take? Debo or Ayuk or Adam Thielen? Give me these guys,
Of course.
Calvin Ridley, maybe. I don't know. Like, what's your vibe on the Jags? Because a lot of the Jags stuff is like the first half of that Bills game. People are like, oh, Ridley's the bust. I told you, everyone. It's Kirk. He's the wide receiver 1. Oh, yeah. And I was like, just give it a second here.
We have people that really have. I mean, it's been very much like turmoil, or is maybe the right or wrong word. I mean, you start off with Kirk getting like 0 targets in week 1, and oh, Ridley faders, like you're gonna be like.
I thought that was like way overblown too. Like oh, Kirk is dead now, but he doesn't play in 2 wide receiver sets.
Oh yeah, because he didn't play in 2 wide receiver sets in the preseason, and he didn't get any targets in week 1. Like who cares what he did? 5 years in the league, he sucks now.
Yeah. Like who cares that he's making $160 million?
Yeah, no, not playing enough in preseason for me. I thought Calvin Ridley would start off slow, and at first I thought I was going to be eating a lot of crow there, but I think he is just a little bit slow start. I could see him having some continually big games moving forward, but I mean, he hasn't played football in a year and a half, so let's just let him kind of get him under himself a little bit.
The Jags have been unlucky as a whole, where they've had a lot of drop passes. I think better days ahead for them. Joe with the super chat. Thanks so much, man. Says favorite new channel. Sharp analysis always. Appreciate you, Joe. Make sure you smash that subscribe. I did not pay Joe to do that, but it just seemed like a timely thing to say. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Interesting list here. Gabe Davis just is like the quintessential best ball pick. Him being cheaper this year, just windmill dunk that one in there.
Yeah.
George Pickens is this is a quintessential line where it's 4 points, 6 points, 20, 23. Some of these are garbage time too.
I don't feel good about it.
No, yeah. Let's ask you, knowing what we know today, give me a wide receiver 1 through 5 total points on the season.
One as far as rest of season, or what do you mean?
Yeah, no, just week. It's week 14. who are going to be the top 5 wide receivers.
Ooh, okay.
Total point.
AJ Brown is going to be up there. Tyreek Hill, wide receiver 1.
Let's go in order. We're
Okay.
going to make you give us number 1 is
Tyreek Hill finishes number 1 on the season.
Okay.
Number 2 is AJ Brown. I think he's just going to continue to just be a
AJ Brown over some guys like Chase and Diggs is bold, but I like it. I mean, AJ Brown dropped 3 touchdowns against the Bucs.
Just his output.
3 hit his hands. He could have had another 40-point burger.
Yeah, and then I gotta go Diggs after that. I mean, the way that everything about that offense just seems pretty awesome. Chase, Jamar Chase for sure. Number 4. Yeah. Number 5 is where like things get a little interesting. I think Puka Nacua, number 5. I think he's had a good enough start to the season. I don't think he's going away in this offense at all.
I agree with most of your list. For me, it probably goes Tyreek 1. See, the thing about Diggs is he gets to face off against tight ends for target competition, which is like pretty great for Diggs. So I'll throw him there too.
Okay.
Chase 3 for me. I'll do AJ Brown 4, but like, how do we not slot Keenan in there? And here's my hot take. Cooper Kupp ends with more points than Puka Nacua on the year.
Oh my goodness. I mean, with an 80-point head start, you think he's just
like, I mean, Cooper Kupp was the alpha on his return. And if Puka didn't get that touchdown, man, you know, like Puka's still going to get his, but I think Kupp was literally like a 40% target share guy. Like, and that was week 1. So
yeah, that was the first week back. I know. I mean, I'm excited for it. I've got a lot of Kupp. I started off with a lot of Kupp and early on in the summer, so I'm excited to see that return back. I mean, Rams just look so awesome. I mean, not like in real life, but just for fantasy purposes.
they look okay in real life, man.
No, they do. They do look better than we expected, but that like Stafford and this offense just is a lot of fun.
And neither of us said Keenan, where the Keenan thing is like a different version of the Addison thing, where it's like how much more attention does Keenan get without Mike Williams is a question there. Running back on the season, I mean, this is absurd. I'm actually surprised that Mostert's outscored Achane on the season. Obviously, this will continue to grow. ETN is RB4 after his huge week here. Kyren Williams still RB5. CMC lapping the field, RB1. Down at the bottom here, we got Jacobs finally RB12, which like him and Pollard are in the mix there. What's sticking out for you with the running backs?
I mean, everything. This running back leaderboard is just like insane right now. No one who could have who's seeing this coming? Like, I will
give some normal names. CMC normal, ETN normal, Montgomery normal-ish. On this list.
I think
Bijan normal.
Yeah,
Bijan with no touchdown. Swift, I would say, is normal. You would just give the caveat if he's the RB1. Ken Walker's normal. Josh Jacobs normal.
Yeah,
a little bit more unusual is B-Rob, Kyren, Mostert, and Achane, and then Zach Moss.
Yeah, I think what sticks out to me a little bit is just the Travis Etienne role, like being much, much better than anybody, most people thought. I mean, a lot of the Tank Bigsby fear into that role clearly was just an illusion, not even close to coming to fruition. And now we've got Travis Etienne. Feels like he's catching more balls than he has in the past, or at least that's how it felt in that Bills game. Maybe they can play a jet lag team every week. That'd be nice. But I think Etienne's role is real, and that offense is good. That team is pretty good. I would like to have bigger Etienne bags because I was on him, and then I kind of let everybody talk me off being overweight on him because I didn't take Tank Bigsby, but I was fearful of that because of everything I was hearing from everybody I trusted.
So Tank has looked awful, and I still think you're okay with Tank because he's just a pure handcuff at this point.
Exactly.
And then, with ETN, I was taking like Ramondre and ETN, and Ramondre's also regressed along with being on a terrible offense. And so that's just a reminder of like, what offense you're on really ups your risk. Where if you're going to draft members from the Bears, the Patriots, whatever, they're risky picks. We'll see how this list looks going forward. Some names I would expect to break into the top 12: Tony Pollard, James Cook, maybe Breece Hall.
I think James Cook will.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to need to run some long touchdowns, which he can. And Breece Hall for sure. I think Mixon just sucks at football. Like
I fucking hate Joe Mixon. No, obviously not as a person. I think as a football player, like you said, he's so trash. And like I don't care what is expected fantasy. He's an expected fantasy points merchant because he can never score at the 1 yard line. Like that's not a
when you get 4 carries at the 2 yard line
and he just falls over.
When you get 4 carries at the 2 yard line, your expected is going to look really high.
Exactly.
QB on the season starting to normalize, where Hurts and Allen are QB 1 and 2 on the year. Fields QB 3, not shocking there. Mahomes QB 6. Jordan Love still chewing away at QB 12. Justin Herbert, even with a bye, QB 11. Jared Goff popping up here. Some names not on the list: Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, Dak Prescott, not even close. Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, not here. What's sticking out to you for quarterback scoring on the season?
Well, I will say, I thought I was pretty high on Kirk Cousins. And so I'm glad, I'm happy about that. I think for me, what's sticking out, and I had a pretty strong Chiefs fade in Best Ball Mania. And I want to give you your flowers because you were kind of on it for, kind of out here talking about it often about not really feeling the Chiefs and what if Travis Kelce goes down, and we saw it, and it's not good. If anything were to happen to Travis Kelce, this is not a good, this is a very shaky team. I already think they're a shaky team. I don't think that they really have a real shot at winning the Super Bowl.
I'm shocked that they're still plus 550 to win the Super Bowl because
I'm not.
Mahomes is great, but it seems like people are just copy and pasting previous years where Mahomes being great is not good enough if Kelsey's not elite, if your wide receivers are awful,
and their wide receivers are awful. They are as bad as advertised. So that to me, I'm definitely feeling good about the Mahomes fade.
What I will say quite bizarrely is Mahomes is actually rushing.
Dude, he's running a lot.
More, I think he has more rushing yards than Allen easily on the year.
He does.
And Mahomes only rushes when he needs to rush. Usually he saves it for the playoff games because they're good enough. But that's a sign that the team is not good if he's rushing weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think you're excited for fantasy because he is rushing, but with his wide receivers being so bad, I don't know. Give me your top 5 quarterbacks on the season. Week 14, we're looking back. Who are top 5?
Jalen Hurts 1. I'm really into just the Eagles' offensive environment. Because of their secondary being able to cede yards to opposing teams, definitely is positive for their game scripts moving forward. So give me Jalen Hurts 1, Josh Allen 2. I don't see anything changing with.
He's been doing this with all passing production and a lone rushing touchdown here.
I know, right? That's what I think we're gonna get some more rushing from him as once we get into the dog days of
the
season.
They have games against the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Bengals, they have all these top tier games, and those are the games I think he'll run in.
Exactly. When you look ahead at their schedule, it's super sick. So Hurts, Allen, Justin Fields is going to finish as QB3 because they also.
No way, really? You got Fields QB3?
Yes,
absolutely. I would have taken Richardson if he was healthy, but I can't now.
If Richardson was healthy, I think there's a strong case for that. No, man, Fields is not bad. He's actually not a bad quarterback. He's not.
That's how I try to tell everyone and everything. Hey, this thing is not bad. All right.
No, I promise. Yeah, that's how you know it's very positive. No, and they have a very, very juicy schedule. So I'm very excited about their schedule. QB4 is where things get fun. Let's say Lamar. I'm gonna ignore that 10 point. Yeah, give me Lamar there. QB5, Brock Purdy. Who's stopping the 49ers, man?
I think I would take Herbert over Purdy. And I'd take Mahomes over Purdy. And
I'm worried about the Chargers offense.
I mean, that's possible.
Not like, I mean, worried about like top 5 outcomes with the offense.
Yeah,
I mean, they're going to be Herbert is very good, but if Keenan, dude, I don't like Quentin Johnston. I don't know, like maybe he emerges and he looks better as the season goes on, but
we'll see what they look like after the bye. You're right. Like if they look terrible off the bye, no Mike Williams, but Eckler is back, so we'll see. We'll see there.
Yeah, he's a big help.
All right, let's move on to looking at our top scoring teams here. We're gonna have to really zoom on.
Yeah, I'm sorry if this wasn't ideal. I was like, let me just.
No, this is fine. So Nez, your top team is 697.
Yeah, no 700 yet, but yeah, as you can see here, it's nice when you get the QB1 and the RB1 and on the same team there. As you can see, this was very much like a 0 wide receiver team. With my wide receiver 1 being Nuke Hopkins there, but
yeah, I mean that's to the theme of 0 wide receiver.
Yeah, is having Nuke Hopkins there? Yeah,
for better as your wide receiver 1.
But I have my best teams are 0 wide receiver teams, or at least my best pit bull.
Your top scoring teams.
Exactly. My top scoring teams are. So we get the Josh Allen to Gabe Davis here with Dawson Knox as well. It's all about just having options there for a Week 17 stack. Kyle Pitts finally coming alive. That's nice. He damn near doubled his output there.
I'm excited for him against Washington, a team that struggles with the deep ball. Pitts looks serviceable.
We needed to see that last week. Like that needed to be seen. I needed to make sure that like they can make him a part of the plan outside of Jonnu. But I mean, when it comes to Arthur Smith's philosophy and how they use their tight ends, it's not surprising that Jonnu gets better usage than Pitts. I mean, Jonnu does more physical tight end things than Pitts. Pitts is not a tight end. Like he doesn't do tight end things. And Arthur Smith does traditional boomer ass football things. And Kyle Pitts does not fit that mold. So we just need more game scripts like that for Kyle Pitts to catch some deep balls. He's going to have some good games in his bag, but DJ Moore doing a lot of legwork for this team. So hopefully this can get me over that finish line, but I like the 3 healthy running backs that I have.
I was going to say this is what sticks out to me is this is basically a 3 running back team. I mean, Singletary is playing football at least. Fournette, I mean, is Fournette playing this year? Yes or no?
No, not anymore. No. I thought he had a real shot, but if he's not assigned to a team yet, like forget about it.
I mean, I could see him signing late in season, but I'm hoping he doesn't play. Nico Collins is also a big piece for you where for this team to have a chance, you just need like some nuke weeks from Pitts. You need the Collins, Zay Jones, Mingo, Gabe, like you got a lot of warm bodies at wide receiver. Only McCole Hardman is a pure 0.
Yes.
Tight end, you need Pitts to get some touchdowns here. And Kyler coming on late could be fun for the playoff rounds.
Yeah. I mean, with having Josh Allen, it's just like a free roll. Like I don't know, maybe he outscores him in the playoffs. But yeah, this definitely is not my favorite team, but it is my highest scoring.
My top scoring team is 706 points. It's a Cousins, Stafford, Howell QB room. This is an unstacked team mostly, and it was drafted pretty early because you can tell. Like this is an order that they were drafted. I drafted Keenan after Christian Kirk.
Wow.
Which is like not how the market went. It's got Josh Jacobs, which feels great. It fell into a Cam Akers to Kirk Cousins stack.
Hell yeah.
So Cousins is stacked only because of that. It's got Montgomery, Charbonnet, and Gibson at running back. So the running back room, honestly, it feels like ho-hum. Connor out. Akers is playing at least. It's Akers and it's Jacobs and Montgomery, Charbonnet and Gibson pretty much. Yeah. Wide receiver feels really strong with Chase, Smith, Kirk, Keenan, Nico. And then Van Jefferson was a stack with Stafford, but now he is on the Falcons as of today. And then the tight end room, honestly, is really fun where it's got Kincaid, a late round Laporta, and Logan Thomas to stack with Sam Howell, who's like looking awesome. I would have had so much Logan Thomas if not for Cole Turner ever being like mentioned. But then I got scared late, I didn't want to gamble to 0. So
yeah, Logan Thomas. Everybody was telling me Logan Thomas is like in the projections. Like you guys are gonna be like shitting yourselves when you see what Logan Thomas is projected for. I'm like, no, he's hurt. He's hurt all the time. It's Cole Turner season. And then lo and behold, here's Logan Thomas like running like a million routes every single game. Can we talk about Kincaid? I mean, I think we
let's talk about him.
Reasonable guest you can have to talk about Kincaid. They're using him kind of weird, no?
So here's what I think. What surprised me in the London game is that game like opened with, I want to say, like a 22-5 snap count lead towards Knox, and then Knox dropped the ball like 3 times or so. In the game, and like was like very not good, just like flat out not good. And his like receptions have been kind of weird, where he's like only receiving the ball with a short A dot. But I've looked at some cut up of films that Bills fans have posted, and he's running those routes down the field. He got one to end the game, then he got concussed. So I kind of have a feeling with Knox being so bad and Kincaid just being a rookie that like it's going to come. I'm excited to still have him on my top teams, where ultimately just any pass catching piece of the Bills, like it's not going to be only Davis and Diggs going forward. Right. In my opinion. So, I'm affording, like, just like I'm not hitting the sell button on JSN, I'm not hitting the sell button on Kincaid. Like, let's give it a couple weeks here. What's your take though? I know a lot of people, they want to do the reactionary thing. Like people in my Discord were like, "Oh, Kincaid," and like obviously I drafted a lot of Kincaid, so they'll say that to me. But what people were quiet on is like, "Oh, Dallas Goedert sucked before this week," "Oh, Darren Waller not so great," right? So swinging at an upside tight end just makes sense to me. And
the usage has. I think the way to kind of look at rookie tight ends, like you were early on, like kind of like poo-pooing the rookie tight end narrative. And it was really just about like the opportunity that these rookie tight ends like historically have had. The opportunity is obviously there. It does seem like sooner or later, man, we're going to get a big time Kincaid week. But
if we had 2 touchdowns right now, people would be like, "Oh, Kincaid's awesome."
Yeah. You're going to get that Kincaid spike week again. Let me just say, there might be a little something to like. The Bills are playing good football, and I think that they are clearly the AFC favorite, in my opinion. I think Diggs, Allen wants to keep Diggs happy a little bit too. Like, so the part
like ESPN talking head stuff to me,
dude. You like if your best, I don't want my best wide receiver to be pissed at me. I don't want to be giving up deep balls to anybody other.
I could believe that he just like thinks Diggs is so good. But I would think that he would look at the tape and be like, "Wow, we had like Kincaid wide open down the seam, and the ball just went to Diggs." So maybe I would just say,
look at and say we have that in the future. Like, hey, like this is there. Like so.
Yeah, and I think this is it from Brock, where it's like Laporta hitting the ground running has made people lose patience on like Kincaid and Musgrave. Where like remember with Musgrave, the dude should have like 4 touchdowns already. Like literally. In weeks 1 and like deep ones too. And then like Kincaid definitely had some touchdowns opportunities in the other weeks. He's the same thing as every other tight end. Most tight ends are touchdown or bust, especially on a half-point PPR site,
Exactly. Hopefully you weren't like drafting Kincaid and nobody else. I mean, like you got to have some.
No, and I told people don't just blindly tail me on Kincaid, because to me, you can't really lose with the highly drafted tight end unless they don't score points in the fantasy playoffs, where either they have a great regular season, so you advance a team, or they don't score a lot of points. They get way outscored by Devon A. Chan, etc. So they're hard to advance. Yeah. And now you have leverage in the playoff weeks. That was my takeaway from winning BBM2. We got to zoom in now for the Nez team, another Josh Allen team. How thematic of you.
Oh, yeah.
92.
Another Josh Allen CMC team. This one I like a lot more, paired with a little Jaylen Warren, who was like on the field every time I turned on the Steelers game. Najee nowhere to be seen.
Looking great too.
He does look good. And they're scheming him up with a lot of different touches there. He's having better games. He kind of had some clunkers there early on, but I think they understand that Warren is the better player there. So this one has a lot of like future I'm excited to see how this one looks if I can continue to have nice games with this lineup and get it to the playoffs, because I'm excited to see
Puka.
JSN's role grow. Gotta love. I mean, Puka, CMC, Josh. It doesn't matter what you do after that. It literally doesn't matter. Like CMC, Josh Allen, and Puka. If you're not advancing your team, like that's like hard. So I like that.
And Montgomery and Gibbs. Like this is a fun team.
Exactly. So I love the potential low owned Gibbs on this team. Like I feel really good about that. That is something that I did more than I think the average drafter did, was take 2 running backs from the same team. So not mad at doing that. Like, whatever happens. But I really like this team. I think this team is shaping up to only get better, which I don't think you can say the same thing about the last team.
No, I mean, and with JSN, I'm hopeful we see an immediate post-buy rookie bump for him. But what has me a little concerned is Drew Lock went into that game, and immediately JSN got like a 20-yard target that bounced off his hands. Now, it's not great that JSN dropped it, but why, when Drew Lock goes right into the game, is he throwing it 20 yards down to JSN? And the only throws Geno will do is like 2 yards. Does Geno just not like JSN? Like the human element is part of football, right? So I don't know there. We'll see on him. Just like I'm not like, JSN, Kincaid, just like where if Addison wasn't having a great rookie year, people wouldn't be so impatient with JSN. If Zay Flowers wasn't having a great rookie year, so I'm still being patient with JSN. Obviously, there's contingent upside if something happens to Metcalf or Lockett, what have you. But yeah, this team is really fun for you.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. Hope, praying for good health, because so far, other than like Gibbs, this and Frymouth, this team is healthy. So this is best ball is a war of attrition. We know this.
My second highest scoring team is 697. It's a Hurts and Love team. So I have a lot of elite quarterback just in my portfolio in general. Yeah. We got Montgomery, Swift, AJ Dillon, Gainwell, Kyron, and Rico Dowdle. So I know I definitely have a plenty of Swift and Penny team. So it's nice to have a Swift and Gainwell team where I'm still holding out hope Penny will play late, but we'll see. Obviously, this was a late team having both Kyron and Rico. So running back room, perfectly fine. AJ Dillon has been awful, but, showed signs of life. AJ Brown, Christian Watson, Mike Williams. He's on a lot of my teams, so RIP to him. Watson back and playing. Let's talk about Watson for a second because, the production wasn't really there last night, where, he got horse collared for the touchdown almost. But I'm encouraged, where if he's just going to be throwing these YOLO balls, he'll catch at least 20% of them, and if you're going to get like 4 YOLO balls a game, that's wheels up. Like,
say what you will.
Speed.
Yeah, like say what you will about Jordan Love. Like, I think he shows some signs of like of okay quarterback play, at least for fantasy. He's obviously like not had a great season on the whole, but like you said, he will throw a deep ball. It might not be accurate, but he's gonna let that shit rip. So we're gonna see some big time Christian Watson games here soon. I'm such a believer in Watson just as a player. They're in the NFC North, man. They're gonna have some awesome matchups here with the Vikings and Bears coming up. And then that'll be a lot of fun for our Watson.
And if Watson had played the whole year, I think he would have had some big games earlier in the season where Love did hit the deep balls.
Exactly.
Wide receiver room finishes up with Gabe Davis, Myers, Mingo, Shaheed. Perfectly fine wide receiver room. No, Mike Williams obviously hurt. Yeah, Shaheed is a fun late round dart. And then Kittle, I drafted 3 tight ends with a lot of Kittle teams, unless I went like Kittle and Waller, just because that's who he is. He's a boom bust guy. So Kincaid, Musgrave, Kittle, that's a fun tight end room, honestly. This team's got legs. Obviously, Mike Williams being out hurts it. Walk us through your third highest scoring team.
Yeah, third team here. Another Josh Allen team. What do you know? Where do I get my ideas? This one hurts. When I sent
all 3 of your Josh Allen teams, no?
Yes.
That's fun.
Yeah. So this one hurts because we got Justin Jefferson on here. So hopefully he plays again. But the Josh Allen to Knox there for the tight end, having Laporta is having the tight end 1 is huge. Another Jalen Warren share. This one is fun. Obviously, zero RB with the Cook to Allen stack there with Montgomery. and Sharps. I love this running back room. I would like Kendre Miller to be a little bit more for real, but
He had a week. He flashed this past week.
He did, and he had that catch in the preseason. Like he's shown that he like can ball, but overall, I'm very much bearish. On
The running back room is loaded on this team.
Love this running back room.
You're going to need Metcalf, London, McLaurin, and Sutton to carry you because obviously you have 2 zeros.
Yeah,
Shakir's not a pure zero, but he's just like zero.
He's a week 17 play. Like I was like this running back. I almost went 5 wide receivers on this team. I did a lot of like fragile wide receiver builds.
Me too.
But I'm like, you know what? Let me just tack on Shakir. Who knows what happens? So just to throw him on there. But this is one of my favorite running back rooms for sure. I didn't do a ton of 0 RB. Loved this one. I think this one might have been a later team. I'm not sure, but I want to ask you a question just real quick. Knowing what you knew at each respective time, would you have rather, based on the way the season has played out, done all of your drafts in like June or all of your drafts in late August?
Well, I was in Vegas for all of June, so I don't even know what
you don't even know what the landscape
I don't know. I mean, I know enough of the market because I was in I drafted up till May 31st. I think late August, but it depends what my player takes are because like, you know, I like others were like afraid of Achane late a little bit, even though he was like cheap.
I was afraid late. I was bullish early, bearish.
Yeah, I was like very into him early. I was like, yeah, upside, let's go, close the eyes. And then late, I was like, ooh, I don't know. Like,
he hurt his shoulder and he weighs 150 pounds. Like,
yeah, yeah. So I don't like a lot of my later scoring teams are higher scoring, but I will always try to just split it and sprinkle because the market changes and your players change over the course of a summer and that's good, honestly. Like Mostert, I didn't draft at all early. I drafted him late, you know, when it was like very clear, like, oh shit, like this guy's just starting as the running back. You know, so there's players like that where maybe those are just like parts of my process I can sharpen up. But if I had to choose one, I think I'd just take the mystery of early because early you have things like 4th round Keenan Allen. Like my top team that I showed where like that wide receiver room where like Nico was my wide receiver 5 and Keenan my wide receiver 4. If that team had hit at running back a little bit harder, like it would be fighting for top in the whole contest, you know? So it's just like how you change as drafters is hard to like choose exact month. What would you have done? Would you have done all late or all early?
I think I would do late. I think
if you're just trying to advance a bunch of teams, sure, but they all look similar then. So it's you know it's like I'm not so like a lot of people are like, oh, you're advancing your because I'm going to do
that's given hindsight, by the way. Like, you know, I just a lot of my later teams just like tend to have better outlooks for the most part. But
you're drafting against less plugged in people probably too, you know. It's all part of the equation.
A lot of Kieran Williams. That's what it comes down to. And I was not expecting no one was expecting RB1 Kieran Williams, right? So like that was just good fortune.
A lot of Kyron Williams is propping me up too. This is my 3rd highest scoring team. It is a Allen Bryce Young team. Brees, Swift, Mostert, Jamal Williams, Algier, and Chuba Hubbard. I actually remember drafting this one because it was my 150th one.
Oh, no way.
Actually, my original 150th. But I got one thrown away, so I got it. And I literally remember with the Hubbard pick, it's like I literally thought I remember to myself thinking, I've drafted Kyron Williams in like the past 4 drafts. I'm gonna do Chuba this time.
Yeah,
you know, just how things change.
I know.
At wide receiver, Diggs, Metcalf, Davis, and Addison holding down the top end. Some signs of life with the other 4. Mingo, DPJ, Shaheed. Hardy did pop up for a deep A-dot role in that game. So I'm leaving a light on for Hardy to have 2 to 3 20-point games the rest of the season. And then Hawkinson and Kincaid at tight end, eating the 0 week 13. But fun team overall. You know, strong enough at running back, strong enough at wide receiver, a QB1, and Hawkinson and Kincaid holding down tight end.
I like this team. I think there's still hope for DPJ. I think the Browns are good, but I don't know. Or you just
I don't know. Like I'm rethinking drafting a lot of these like deep A-dot guys where they're just like like DPJ and Darius Slayton and even
You can
Rashid
even throw
Shaheed,
Hyatt in there. I mean,
Hyatt, just like so many of these guys where it's like you think to yourself in the preseason, you're like, if they catch a touchdown, like that pays off that week. That wins me a week. But it's kind of hard to catch touchdowns in a cover 2 league, whereas like the shorter, like Adam Thielen or whatever. Neil, we don't regret Shaheed, man. We hold on to week 1.
no, things are going okay there.
But yeah, like I'm rethinking those guys in the future for me, where I don't know if I want as many teams with as many of those guys on them. So
right, yeah, we kind of we don't like to think about how often they give us 0. We're just so focused on
which
the
is a lot.
rose-colored. yeah, dude, it's a lot of zeros. These guys kind of kill you.
So this is a bonus team Nez sent where this is his favorite team. So walk us through your 1 QB favorite team here.
Yeah, so I did not quite a bit. More than most people, single QB, single tight end teams, and like 3 running back teams. This one is a BBM with my single Justin Fields team here with Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, JSN, Pitt. I mean, that's a sick little wide receiver room, man. James Conner getting hurt. I think I sent these like without knowing the extent of some of these injuries. So that James Conner injury sucks. But
to be clear, people, I asked Nez earlier in the week to come on, and then I said, yeah, just like send me your 3 high scoring teams before the show. And so like Dable sent me them, maybe 5 minutes before the show. Crange sent me them during the show. Nez sent me the 3 the second the Monday Night Football game finished. He had his Google Drive DM to me. So
I come prepared, man. It's not every day I get to go on Liam's show, dog. I gotta come prepared. Here's a Google Drive. Here's a breakdown of what I got. So this team I like because we get the Hawkinson. This tight end room I love with Hawkinson, Komet, and a little Taysom there. Keep the light on for Taysom. I love the.
Let's talk about Jameson, man, because you're a Jameson Williams guy. I'm a Jameson Williams guy. Let's pull up Fantasy Life for this just to look at it. Shout out Fantasy Life with this great resource they have. But if we go to the Detroit Lions here for week 5, Jameson he did 50% of the routes, 20% target per route run, which honestly is not so bad. 12% of the targets, which I think in raw numbers is not. I think
2 for 2.
3 targets, 3 catchable targets. 1 was definitely a screen. Honestly, my take with Jameson, I thought for sure the Lions would bring him along slow, just with the hamstring injury. I legit didn't even know if he was healthy enough to play. Mm-hmm. I'm still holding the light on for him where I think he could smash, give it a week or 2. What's your take on Jameson? Did anything happen this week to change or sway
I feel so much better about my JMO bags after this little week.
Really?
Much better.
Talk us through it. 15 routes. What stood out?
Well, that hamstring injury seemed like a pretty big deal. And so to get the suspension cut and then still come in and have some scheme plays for him, not anything major because they were beating the shit out of the Panthers and all, but see him actually play on the field, I think is good because I mean, every time Dan Campbell kind of talks about JMO, he kind of talks about a son that he thinks has potential, but needs to get his shit together. So, glad that he's getting on the field there. And I really do think, man, because I find the Lions to be a top 4 team in the league, that's a nice environment for JMO, and he's going to have some big weeks. I feel confident in that he will have big weeks. I mean, the speed I just find to be just undeniable. So we'll see how that goes. But I think an ideal route percentage for him, best case scenario, would probably be 70 or 80. I don't think he's ever going to be a 100% of the routes type of guy. And he might.
He doesn't need to be a hundo.
No, his numbers might look a little bit like Addison's, to start, where Addison has some really nice ADOT. He looked like he had potential for some big plays. Jared,
great point, Jared.
That is what he needs to do. He needs to play Lions football. He needs to buy in. So, I mean, that's just the truth with the coach like Dan Campbell. So I'm excited, man. I mean. The whole point with JMO was not that he's going to help me get over into the playoffs. It's that I want to have him in the playoffs and that I built teams good enough to take him in. And I've got a lot of JMO, so I'm just, the fact that he was on the field, didn't get hurt, like I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that's exciting. I think he was even at 50% routes for his first game back is kind of encouraging. My take with the Lions is that guys like JMO and Jahmyr Gibbs, like the second the Lions actually get pushed in a game, it's see you later, David Montgomery. It's see you later, Josh Reynolds. Like it's time to get the fast guys on the field, the guys who can make people miss in space. And like if the Lions get pushed in a game, woo, that's a fun game. Like Lions Eagles, something like that.
Yeah, that's been the problem. They just they haven't been getting pushed. They're beating the crap out of everybody.
Yeah, so I mean, and some like play action into JMO seems in the wheelhouse there. So we'll see how he develops there. But no fear from us. This is a nice team you sent overall, though. We'll see
fun.
how.
I mean, yeah, the single QB. We'll see how it goes. But I mean, I've gotten single QBs over the line in the past, by accident. So I'm like, why don't I just do it on purpose? Like, why don't I actually like try it? So
yeah, I mean, my I only did it a couple times myself, and my team that won BBM2 was basically a single QB team where it was Josh Allen and Justin Fields didn't score any points that year. Tyler is banned from the chat because he's bag defending. Just kidding, Tyler. All right, now we got the top scoring teams from the community, and I'm going to walk us through the Louis G experience here. Yes. Who was leading the contest, where Louis, shout out Louis, at FF_Louis G, says, "Is this good?" And then he posts this team boomer cropped, which is the two tight ends first. So and then it only has 726 points as well. And then he posts a picture of his name being first. And then someone said, "Wow, damn, like really nice team." And he goes, "I posted the wrong team the first time." And then he reposts it. However, with this team, he didn't give us the total points of it. He didn't crop that part in. So shout out Louis here, giving you a joke here on the boomer crop. But the team is a Richardson, Pickett, Howell team at QB, which honestly, like the Richardson Howell combo is something I purposely did, just thinking they were too high upside late guys. So like to see that working out for him. Montgomery, White, Mostert, Achane, Spears, and Kyron Williams cannot draw that better up at running back. And then wide receiver, it's Olave, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, Mike Evans, Mingo, Rondale Moore, Puka Nacua, of course. And then the double bully tight end, Kelsey and Andrews.
Wow.
So,
that's interesting.
Oh, here we go. We got Louis in the chat. Shout out Louis.
What up, Louis?
A beautiful team here from Louis G. Shout out to you. And good luck, man. I mean, I think the team's got a real chance the rest of the way. What are you thinking here?
Oh, absolutely. This is definitely a fun team. And I mean,
they lost Richardson though for like the short term.
Losing Richardson, I mean, like to be honest, is a very much a big deal for the regular season hopes. But I feel like he still has a chance to get a nice regular season prize. And hey, man, this is a nice. I mean, all good regular season teams look good for the future playoffs, but this looks like very live for come fantasy playoffs for sure. You'll get Richardson back just in time, and I'd be surprised if you don't make the best ball playoffs with this team, right?
I mean, but you could though, as crazy as it is. And
I know.
And guys, I just want to see on mobile the share button's there, but on desktop there's not, so that's maybe why we get some boomer cropped entries. So shout out Louis here. Nez, how about you read us off this team from JGam 2727, and he's at 808. I believe he said he's like in the top 20 or so.
Oh shit. Okay. So he's got the Justin Fields to Tua combo. I've got a couple Fields and Tua teams. That's my best
combo.
Best football team is that. Lost Chubb, but still up here with the Montgomery, Kamara, Achane, Deuce, and Zach Moss. That, oh man, even without Chubb, this running back room is still nasty. With the DJ Moore stack, Pickens, Terry McLaurin, OBJ, Adam Thielen, Tank Dell, Hodgins, and Puka. Puka, I think, is going to start to make his presence known on a lot of these teams. And then Kelsey and Knox. This team is sick.
It's crazy that the Kelsey teams have been up here because he's not really like done that much this year.
Yeah, right. I mean, like you got was that 4 points for Knox week 1? Probably. Like that's really not not a whole lot there. The one thing that I mean, I don't know if I have any regrets here, but I didn't do a lot of Tua because I didn't get a lot of Hill or Waddle just based on the way that my drafts went. It's not like I was actively fading the Dolphins, but I wasn't really taking Tua without Hill or Waddle. So it was kind of a bummer because I had a lot of Tua the year prior when he ended up getting knocked out for the season. But this is a fun team. I mean, getting that high of a score with DJ Moore and Pickens as your wide receiver 1 and 2 is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got things to be excited about for this team with like Tank Dell coming on, Adam Thielen holding it down, Puka Nacua is out here. I didn't have a ton of Tua this year either, where honestly, this is just like me not checking my exposures hard enough because I had the thought that like, oh, Tua could like rip off a bunch of 30-point performances just tied to his pass game weapons. And then I looked at it and it's like, oh, dang, I'm only like 6%. So hopefully you don't need Tua to win it. And Dolphins versus Ravens was my favorite Week 17 game. So that's looking good, but not enough. The last team here is, he says he's 110 on the leaderboard after 5 weeks. And what I like is that, guys, when you share your teams, post this little picture here. We like to see the picture of how the sausage is made. And he got here 786 points, basically, with point totals of 163, 153, 193, huge week, 160, and his worst week was 115, which you can carry a bad week. So shout out to you for showing us that. And then his team is Tua, Richardson, Mac Jones. I don't think I would have been adding Mac Jones to this team, but you may be happy you have it now without Richardson for a little bit. You got Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, Devon Achane, Mostert, Zamir White, and Kendry Miller. So awesome running back room. Handcuffed Jacobs with the Zamir White. Interesting. Tyreek Smith, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Romeo Doubs, Michael Gallup. Thin wide receiver room, but the top end guys are holding it down for him. And then Jake Ferguson and Zach Ertz punting it off at tight end and landing, honestly, on some producers.
That's
pretty
tough.
fun team this is.
Yeah, shout out that tight end room because that's like the dream, right? To go thin at tight end late and nail it. Like that is the dream. So shout out to this team. You're running pretty damn good right now. Gotta love the HN and Mostert combo. And man, it's early and it hasn't been effective, but Alvin Kamara looks to be paying off that ADP and then some if he's going to continue to get peppered with targets and be the goal line back. I mean,
we'll see. Like the offense is a little concerning, just how bad it is.
Yeah.
Did you notice that he did the triple handcuff? He went Kamara and Miller, Mostert and Achane, and Jacobs and Zamir White.
I did not. I did not notice the three-peat there. That's awesome.
That's pretty fun. Shout out Nick for showing us that. All right. Well, this would usually be the segment where we look at the tweets around the industry, but you guys have seen enough of that. So, Nez, man, thanks so much for coming on and chopping it up with me today. Tell the people about where they can catch more of your work.
Yes. So I'm on Twitter at Nez Takes, and I stream basically every day with the Badge Bros. We are on the Underdog Daily YouTube channel. So we do shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday there. We do a show on Friday with Pete Overzet called Off and on the Clock, where we do some drafts, create some pick'em entries, have some fun. So Underdog Daily is where you can find us for the most part. But if you follow me on Nez Takes, you'll see every time I'm streaming, I'll be tweeting it. But Liam, thanks for having me, man. This is a blast as always.
Yeah, man, this was a blast. Had a great time chopping up and laughing with you. This made me laughing. Tyler saying the triple the triple handcuff is the extreme condom method. I learned early in health class that does not work. We were asking the health teacher.
That's bad. That's
she's
actually
like, no, you can't rub it. You can't rub two together if she's nasty.
The friction's too strong. Yeah.
Yeah, we were something. All right, guys. For me, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'll be back on Friday making more winners for you in the Pick'em Street. Hit a winner with Josh Larkey last week, and
good show. I watched that.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I've been having a lot of fun doing the Pick'em show. We hit our first Pick'em win, a pick 5 where we just pick a pick 5 on the season. Good luck to everybody this season. We'll be back next Tuesday with a new guest. Not that we won't miss Nez, but peace out. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Have a great night.